Okay, you're with Reality Check. In his first statements after the Pulwama convoy attack, the Prime Minister of Pakistan responded with a familiar mix of bluster and denial. Our focus tonight is on the rejection of Pakistan's role in enabling the attack. Here's an excerpt from what Mr. Imran Khan said.
तो मैं आज हिंदुस्तान की गवर्नमेंट को ऑफर कर रहा हूं, किसी किस्म की आप तहकीकात करवाना चाहते हैं इस इंसिडेंट में कि कोई पाकिस्तानी इसमें मुलव्वस था, हम तैयार हैं। अगर आपके पास कोई एक्शनेबल इंटेलिजेंस है कि पाकिस्तानी इन्वॉल्व है, वो हमें दे, मैं आपको गारंटी करता हूं कि हम एक्शन लेंगे। और एक्शन इसलिए नहीं लेंगे कि हमें किसी के प्रेशर है, एक्शन इसलिए लेंगे कि ये पाकिस्तान से दुश्मनी कर रहे हैं। अगर कोई पाकिस्तान की जमीन इस्तेमाल कर रहा है, हमारे से ये दुश्मनी है, ये हमारे इंटरेस्ट के खिलाफ है।
Now, this is not the first time that the Pakistani leadership has denied its links to terror groups operating from Pakistan and asking India to supply actionable evidence. The reasons why these denials and these demands for evidence have little credibility is because of the mass of evidence already available in the public domain that establishes the impunity with which terrorist groups, in this case the Jaish-e-Mohammed, operate from Pakistan, and Pakistan's reluctance to act on evidence as and when it's supplied. Remember, unlike in some attacks, in this case the Jaish has claimed credit for it in the video made by the suicide bomber. Now, the Jaish, as we know, formed in the early 2000s, was banned by Pakistan in 2002, but has since continued to function with little or no checks on its actions, either directly or through proxies. There is widespread reporting from a variety of sources that establishes this. Take, for instance, the website of MEMRI, or the Middle Eastern Media Network, the DC-based extremism watchdog. Just as recently as earlier this year, they have chronicled multiple activities of the Jaish in Pakistan. On February 18th, barely 4 days after the Pulwama attack, a report that Masood Azhar was urging Muslims to join the jihad, saying Kashmir and Pakistan are not separate. This is according to an Urdu weekly, the Haft Roza Al-Qalam. The next day, the same Urdu paper reports that the Jaish is organizing rallies for Kashmir in 50 Pakistani towns, with the crowds chanting Kashmir will become Pakistan, addressed once again by Masood Azhar. And on February 11th, the Jaish holding 8 meetings with Pakistani religious scholars as a part of their outreach program, holding these meetings in towns like Hafizabad and Mandi Bahauddin, both in Punjab province, again reported in the Urdu press. Now, MEMRI is a more specialized portal, but there's enough in even general news reports on the public activities of Jaish. Just take a look at some of these reports that we found just through a simple Google search. Reuters, September 2009, Jaish building a new base in Pakistan's South Punjab. The Economic Times in February 2014, the Jaish-e-Mohammed chiefs addressing a rally in POK which raises questions. Reuters, again in the same month, that the Pakistan militant Masood Azhar resurfaces, ignites Indian fears of attacks. The Indian Express, in a January piece, carried this image of the Jaish headquarters in Bahawalpur in Pakistan. The Wall Street Journal in April 2016 reported on a Jaish rally, and the Asian Age in February 2017 reported on how Jaish-e-Mohammed, while it's banned, is on a recruitment spree in Pakistan. All right, okay. Joining us tonight on the debate, we have Hussain Haqqani, a former Pakistan ambassador and currently the director, South Asia, Hudson Institute in the US. Also with us, Vivek Kajju, who's India's former ambassador to Afghanistan, seasoned diplomat. Ajay Sahani, anti-terror expert, someone who's part of one of the founders of the South Asia Terrorism Portal. And here in the studio with us, Jayadev Ranade, former RAW Additional Secretary. Thank you all so much for being with us. Now, Hussain Haqqani, I saw your Twitter timeline, and we'll try and see if you can even get a screenshot of it. But you've done this very interesting exercise where you posted a number of links to the multiple times where Pakistan has promised to act on the basis of actionable evidence, but clearly has not. There you go. We have it on screen. It's a stock phrase, as you call it, used by every Pakistan president, PM since Musharraf. Hussain Haqqani, go ahead.
Yeah. So let me just say that the problem seems to be that the Pakistani position is that evidence furnished by India is just not acceptable. Right. But in many cases, Pakistan has been given evidence by the United States, by other international organizations, by other countries, and it has still not acted, especially against Jaish-e-Mohammed and Lashkar-e-Taiba. Former President General Musharraf not long ago said in an interview that Hafiz Saeed is a hero in Pakistan. So what Pakistan needs to do essentially, if it wants to get out of the kind of situations we keep getting into after every few years, whenever there's a terrorist attack, it happened after Mumbai, it happened after the parliament attack, this debate about give us evidence and we will act while the rest of the world says no, we already have enough evidence. These groups are themselves acknowledging that they did something and they operate openly in your country, so act against them. I think that the way to end it is that Pakistan basically stop making this argument, which is more geared towards Pakistanis than it is towards the rest of the world. Nobody in India is impressed by the argument that give us evidence and we'll act against it. Nobody in the United States is impressed by it. It's time that we just acted on it, and if Pakistan acted on it, then perhaps we will have a better chance of people around the world saying what happened in the past can remain in the past, but we can now have a more transparent and pragmatic relationship with Pakistan. Unfortunately, I don't see that happening.
But Hussain Haqqani, when you say Pakistan acting on it, their standard response is, look, we banned the Jaish. But of course, as we just saw, that's had little or no impact. So by action, do you mean actual action? That means rounding up Masood Azhar along with the other Jaish leadership, cracking down on the group?
Well, what I'm talking about is not just nominal crackdowns, nominal banning, but making them unoperational. Basically, as long as a group can recruit, train, and conduct terrorist operations, whether inside Pakistan or outside, that group is a group that is surviving and operating and attacking. And so how can we ever claim that we have acted against them if we haven't basically disabled them? It's about time to disable these groups. Look, let us remember one more thing. In your timeline, one thing was missing. What was missing was Jaish-e-Mohammed's attacks inside Pakistan. Soon after 9/11, Jaish-e-Mohammed members who were in Afghanistan after the collapse of the Taliban, they ended up back in Pakistan. And they started attacking churches, they attacked Shia mosques, they attacked diplomatic installations of other countries. Groups like this will, right now they may not be doing it, but they are capable of doing it. And so they pose a threat to Pakistan as much as they pose a threat to India.
Okay. Ajay Sahani, we also are going to put on screen some research by SATP, again just chronicling Jaish's activities in Pakistan. And, again, February 2019, a Masood Azhar rally in Peshawar, supposedly with security from the Pakistan government, another Jaish rally in Larkana, Sindh in January of 2018, February 2018, a Masood Azhar audio clip. Indians are baffled how Mujahideen reached Kashmir is amongst the things he said. And then in March of last year, Jaish rallies in Bahawalpur and also in November in Faisalabad, basically saying things like primary motive to separate Kashmir from India, oaths to carry out attacks on India, and so on and so forth. So all of this, Ajay Sahani, is all there. But is there really any possibility that there will be action, as Hussain Haqqani suggests, given that this is all part of a terrorist infrastructure which has the backing of the Pakistani state or the Pakistani deep state?
Precisely, you make the point. I mean, I consider the entire debate on investigation and evidence to be absurd. You don't provide evidence to a criminal and expect him to hang himself. This is the state itself. You are providing intelligence to the state to act against its own instrumentalities. How realistic can that conceivably be? It's a waste of time. As far as convincing the rest of the world is concerned, I think you've already made the point. The rest of the world knows this. There is no dispute over it. You say evidence. you've already had in the Lashkar-e-Taiba, if you see it, the Lashkar is, we are dancing around saying, oh, we'll get Masood Azhar designated as a terrorist. What use is that? The Lashkar-e-Taiba is a designated terrorist organization. Hafiz Muhammad Saeed is a designated terrorist individual of concern. According to the UN, he's on an American list. There's a $10 million reward on him.
Bounty, yeah.
So what more? A bounty on him. In the 2611 cases in Mumbai, you've already had 2 convictions by courts in America, Tahubur Rana and Headley.
Yes.
They have testified to the role not only of the Lashkar-e-Taiba but also of at least 3 army officers, ISI officers who have been named. So what do you do with all this evidence? You are wasting time. You have no sinews. You do not have the strength to implement or enforce. You need an independent authority to enforce. As I said before, you don't give evidence to a criminal and say, please hang yourself.
Right. Vivek Kaju, you know, on that point, the 2611 case was one of the rare instances where Pakistan, under global pressure, actually was forced to take some sort of action against those who were part of the attack. And there were a series of arrests. But we saw how quickly that fell apart. And we just want to put that graphic up and get you to respond, Vivek Kaju, because we actually went into this in some depth to sort of unravel or to trace how the case unraveled and the almost sabotage-like nature of it. That first Pakistan, after suggesting that they're going after the mastermind, said that there's no evidence against Hafiz Saeed. He was never formally charged. His arrest was a token gesture. And Zakiur Rahman Lakhvi was arrested, but then he was released on bail. He then went missing. We counted at least 7 to 8 judges, Vivek Kaju, who were trying this case, who were transferred one after the other. One of them was actually murdered, but about 7 to 8 judges were transferred. So even in a case where there seemed to be some action, ultimately in the end there wasn't.
The Pakistanis tried to put the blame on us in that case by saying that we had not completed processes that were required under their law. Now, all that is quite frankly not credible. Let us start with this basic case. The perpetrators of the bomb of 2611, 9 of them were killed in the action. 1 was caught, and under Indian law he was tried, convicted, and he paid the price for his act. He was hanged. The conspiracy was in Pakistan.
Yes.
Clearly the onus of finding evidence of the conspiracy was in Pakistan. It was not in India. India was the scene of the action where the conspiracy was enacted, was carried out.
Yes.
So therefore, this entire plea that India did not cooperate is specious. The actual fact is that the Pakistanis do not want to take any action against, as Ajay rightly said, their instrumentalities. And let me add, I find that on the track 2 circuit with Pakistan, some of them in moments of candor admit that there is no way they can take action against these people who, as Musharraf said, are their heroes, and more importantly, they say that these are people who do our bidding. So how do you expect that we will take action against them?
Right, but I just want to say
that
one thing.
That is the fact.
Yeah, I just want to pause for a second, and I'll just come to Mr. Ranade in a second. But on the subject of 2611, I had actually 2 years ago interviewed Chaudhry Azhar, who was the Pakistan government public prosecutor in the case, and let's just listen to what he said. He actually suggested, he did a U-turn. Pakistan at one stage was at least accepting that the conspiracy was hatched in Pakistan. Let's listen to what Chaudhry Azhar had to say. अजहर साहब, ये बताइए, आप कहते हैं कि इंडिया ने कोई प्रूफ नहीं दिया लखवी या हाफिज सईद के खिलाफ, बट ये क्या पाकिस्तान का जॉब नहीं था कि कंस्पिरेसी एस्टैब्लिश करे, गिवन द फैक्ट कि ये कंस्पिरेसी पाकिस्तान में ही हैच हुआ था?
आप देखिए, मेरी बात सुने, आप एक दफा अपना केस और हमारी कॉपीज हमने आपको प्रोवाइड की हैं, उससे पढ़े। ये यहां से प्लान नहीं हुआ था, ये इंडिया में कुछ लोग थे, उनके साथ मिलकर प्लान हुआ था। वहां से आपके इंडिया के एक आदमी यहाँ पे एक फेक आइडेंटिटी के साथ आया, अंसारी, और यहाँ को अमाद असर के नाम से एक फोर्ज स्टेप और सारा कुछ इस्तेमाल करके अपना उसने आईडी कार्ड और पासपोर्ट जारी कराया पाकिस्तानी।
बट ये तो बहुत ही आप एस्टोनिशिंग बात कह रहे हैं कि पाकिस्तान ने हमेशा माना है कि प्लॉट्स तो पाकिस्तान के सॉइल पे ही हैच हुआ था, लेकिन इस बात को भी आप रोल बैक कर रहे हैं?
जी, इंडिया में भी लोग थे, जैसा कि आपका मैंने आपको बताया, जो वो अंसारी आपने भेजा, यहाँ से आया था इंडिया से, अमाद हसन के नाम से, वो यहाँ पे पाकिस्तानी आइडेंटिटी उसने फेक बनवाई, और जब हमें वो पकड़ने लगे तो इंडिया भाग गया। वहां पर जाकर उसने होस्ट किया इनको, जब ये गए अटैक करने, तो ये लोगों को हमने उसे चलान किया है अंसारी को यहाँ पे मुलजम। वी हैव चलान हिम टू कोर्ट टू फेस द ट्रायल। लेकिन अब जब हमने इंडिया से रिक्वेस्ट की कि उसको भेजा जाए, वारंट एग्जीक्यूट करके भेजा जाए, तो आपने कहा ये अंडर ट्रायल है। अब आपने उसे बरी कर दिया, लेकिन अभी तक आपने पाकिस्तान को हैंडओवर नहीं किया उसे।
You know, Mr. Randade, this would actually be funny if it wasn't so serious that the public prosecutor who's prosecuting the case on behalf of the government of Pakistan actually claims the conspiracy was hatched in India. So, you know, what hope do we have when we keep expecting Pakistan to take action? This is the reality.
Absolutely, and I don't think there's going to be any action by Pakistan. Let me just mention a couple of things. One directly related to this, which is when Kasab was caught, as you remember, in Bombay, because of the heroic action of that police constable, Pakistan denied that he was a Pakistani.
Yes,
and it was GeoTV
right,
which actually brought out the fact that he was a Pakistani national. And
yes, they landed up at his village
at
and
his
whatnot,
village and
yes.
all that. So that is the first thing. That is where they had to take humble pie, eat humble pie. But two other points I'd like to make. One is this actually goes quite a way back. I mean, it was Ziaul Haq who first decided that, you know, on this policy to destabilize us, etc.
Yes.
And then there is another slightly tangential point I'd like to make, which is there was a Colonel Javed Hassan, who I think later on became a general, a lieutenant general or something.
Yes.
He wrote a book on the profile study of India, or a profile on India, which was which is required reading in their staff college, which describes India as virtually, you know, the wily, oily, weak Indian. And that, with that mindset, and when Musharraf has described Kashmir as one of two vital national interests of Pakistan, I don't see them backing off on this. After all, these are soldiers whom they have nurtured for carrying on the fight in Kashmir.
But if I could just ask you, if the location and the movements and the structure of a group like the Jaish-e-Mohammed or indeed the Lashkar are so widely known, you know, to Indian intelligence agencies and so on and so forth, is there nothing that we can do?
Oh, there are many things we can do, but the point is whether we are going to do it.
We don't seem to be doing anything.
We don't seem to be doing anything. But I'd like to make one point here about Imran's latest statement. It follows the visit of the Saudi king,
who's in fact here at the moment. Hussein Haqqani, so just we're very short of time. Last word to you. You know, given, as the other panelists were saying, that there is this deep investment of the Pakistani state in these groups, what will it really take for them to carry out the sort of action that you spoke of, to completely neutralize them?
Well, it's never been an issue of evidence, it's always been an issue of political will. And so the real question is, when will the Pakistani state realize that the price it pays for sustaining these groups is greater than any advantage that it can have? Unfortunately, their calculus so far is that they do have an advantage. They throw India off balance every now and then. The size difference between India and Pakistan in economic terms is expanding. Pakistan's economy is not doing that well. Very frankly, for the last several days after Pulwama, the entire Indian political system is focused only on this one action. So the way they see it is that this gives them leverage and power beyond their real power. Now, I, of course, am one of those who say that Pakistan's real problem is that it has the world's largest infant mortality rate. It has half its population illiterate. It has one of the highest out-of-school children number in the world. But those are unfortunately not the concerns of our deep state. They think that they are in eternal competition with India, and these things give them some advantage, and so therefore it is a question of political will, not of evidence.
Okay, political will, not of evidence. We'll have to see whether Imran Khan's Naya Pakistan actually demonstrates that political will. So far, we're seeing no sign of it. But thank you all, gentlemen, so much for joining us. That's all the time we have on Reality Check. Thanks for watching. Good night.